Hey guys, it's Abby. I'm here with Joanne at HomeGrown HomeSewn, and we're going to kind of teach you, well, Joanne's going to teach you about nesting. When I first started quilting, I struggled with getting my points together, and I just didn't know what to do, especially when you're working with a lot of little pieces like mini charms I'm doing now. So we're going to learn how to nest, why it's important, and why your quilt will look amazing when you do it.
Well, nesting is important because it gives you those perfect points. I have a couple pieces of fabric that I have stitched together, and I'm going to open them up, and one point I'd like to give you right off the bat is not to press your seams with an iron at this point. You just want to finger press them when you open up, and you're going to press those seams to one side. I have done that on both of these pieces. They're stitched together. I'm opening it up and I'm just finger pressing the fabric to one side. So when I put these four pieces together, I have the seam allowance going one way on one side and the opposite way on the other. What this fold over creates is a little lip. So when you put your fabrics together, they bump into each other. You don't want them to overlap. You want them to get stuck, I guess, is a description. So they're right next to each other. In other words, they're nesting together. Then you'll just take a pin and pin it right in that seam allowance, right on that seam line there, actually. You can then pull it apart and you can see, oh, I'm really not quite lined up. I've got a space there. I need to make an adjustment. I'm going to take my pin out and I'm going to make that adjustment so those seams are butting right next to each other. I'm going to look again, and I do this every time. I get a good pull apart there. Let me turn it this way. There, I've got a good seam butt there. So then I can take this to my machine and I can sew this seam together. We'll take it to our machine and we'll go. And we'll see how good I have those butted together after this is done. I'm going to take my pin out, because we know that some machines don't pull the pins very well. Here I have several seams that I have already pinned together. I have two blocks, and again, on one side I have the seams going one way, the other side I have them going the opposite, and I have them pinned and I have them checked. So let's go to the machine and see how well I did on this one. And I will take my pins out as I sew so I don't break any needles. Well, I have a plug under there. Take my pin out. Take a look. Look at those points. They look pretty good to me. What about you, Abby?
Oh yes.
Now I would take this block to my machine or my iron and press it.
All right, so if you're working with a bunch of little pieces, not even working with little pieces, but if you're doing something like this where you're putting a lot of little pieces together, it's gonna be really important to nest those, pin them, and then you're gonna match your points every time. If you need to adjust, adjust. Do a little trial run the way Joanne did, and then we know, hey, need to move them a little closer together. So, hope you learned something. I know I did, and we'll see you next time.